Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am William Neal.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
On a very beautiful Monday morning, of course, it was a wet weekend.
I'm not even looking back, I'm looking forward. This is the beginning of Holy Week, or a very short week, a short work week for people. We're getting ready for the Easter break, and I know a lot of people are excited. And you know what? The parents don't need any reminders because they have the kids at home this morning, who I'm sure are waking up early on a holiday day instead of
staying
weekdays.
Late in bed, where you have to get them out of the bed. They're definitely up and out and probably about as well. But of course, with the rains, it will be a challenge to keep them indoors and keep them dry as well.
It has been, Saturday turned out to be a very beautiful day, at least here in the city, we're told. Yeah. And the showers definitely came down yesterday. We've seen a substantial amount of flooding in the city, but I think some of it has gone down by now. So we'll see what the forecast will tell us a bit later. But before we get into that, we do have to take a look back at the big game yesterday.
Yeah, and it ended in a tie, 1-1. But Belize moves on to the second round, and I think it's going to be the Dominican Republic that they'll be facing off with. The guys played a really good game once again, but scoring was a big challenge. Yeah.
So, you know, it seems to be an identified weakness, which I would imagine that they would work very hard on being able to re-strategize and improve on some of the skills. So the game took place in Cayman. We weren't able to broadcast it live. We did have a team out there. Rick Romero and Isani Caetano were there on following the game and following the players as well. And so our viewers were able to see it yesterday. And as has been explained to us, that even though it has been a tie, because a goal made away or in not the home country is worth more in terms of the point system, that's why Belize gets the opportunity to advance. So I think there's a lot of lessons to learn too, because obviously we either underestimated the Cayman team, or we weren't quite sure of what this new team would be able to do once on the field. But we do have some interviews actually, and
we have Woodrow West, WWW as they call him. We'll be speaking with him, and there's also Elroy Quillen that we'll have a conversation with. So here are those interviews from Grand Cayman.
Would you begin by explaining to us what took place within the first 4 minutes of gameplay where the goal was scored against you?
Well, I think the team came out too aggressive, and we came out like that, and it cost us that goal because we weren't focused on what we were doing, catch us off guard. Yes, it was a mistake by Danny Jimenez, but we came out with a game plan, and we didn't execute it on the first 10 minutes of the game, and it cost us a goal due to an error on the back line. No?
Speaking of which, you guys started off a bit sluggish in terms of getting some momentum going within the first half of the game. What happened?
Well, like I said, maybe the team were too eager and didn't focus on the defensive side, and knowing that this team could attack us as well, and they caught us off guard, and we couldn't recover on the play, and it cost us a goal.
We had several possessions in which we could have capitalized and scored on the Caymanian national team. From your vantage point, in terms of seeing what was taking place on the opposite side of the field, what would you think could have been done differently to sort of seal a victory in terms of breaking the 1-1 draw?
Well, just the goal, it's a problem we're having from the previous game. We have been missing so many goals. We could have done this game from last Wednesday in Belize. We could have finished this game a long time ago, and we came out today and still faltered the goals. We got the opportunities, they fouled, the defense, they did their job to keep the ball up front, and we just couldn't get the ball behind the net in the second half. And I think it's a problem with the team. We need to just work on the finishing part now and try to get on our feet, because after this, the game's just going to be harder from now on.
You're one of those goalkeepers that are very communicative, if I may, in terms of talking to your players on the field and what have you. What was the energy or the momentum like from these guys on the field this evening?
Well, the energy was there, and I try my best to keep them in the game. But like I said, they had this eager to get out and attack this team, and the team played very differently this time. And I tried to keep them in the game, and we had a little bit of errors during the defensive line up in the midfield as well, and we tried to correct it. And in the second half, we did a great job by holding out the game without they score us, and that caused us to walk into the second round of this tournament.
We advance by the skin of our teeth. What can we look forward to in terms of a difference in gameplay going forward?
Well, we have a couple months to get on track back and I hope the federation keep the team training and we could get better from now on. This is a learning process for us. We come out here and I think the players take the team very lightly and the team really played us good today, and hopefully training back we get our finishing together and maybe Dion McCauley try to join the team as well, because he's a key player on the team as well and we need him too.
Elroy, begin by describing the only goal that was scored against Cayman this evening.
Well, during the training session after the first game, I was practicing a lot of my free kicks, and I got one and I make the opportunity to get it behind the net. And we know the away goal big for us, and we had to come out steaming because we wanted a win, and we had a lot of opportunities in Belize, and we didn't score no goal.
You guys are off to a slow start tonight in terms of gaining some momentum to begin attacking the opponent. What happened there?
I think we started flat and Cayman come out with a high tempo, and they know they had to come to bring it to the game, and we was playing for that away goal, and and to get the first goal, first goal bring another goal, so that was the game plan, to get the first goal, and they had to open up and commit.
There were several other possessions that you guys did not quite capitalize on here as well. Would you attribute that to either the turf or either the sluggishness that you guys began with earlier?
No, I just think the players need to focus more and keep it simple when we get into the last third part of the field, and try to get the ball behind the net and hold a composure when you're close to the goal, because goals win the game.
All
right, and of course we're going to see exactly how the team on their return plan or put a game plan on the way to actually improve their goal scoring. Of course, it's a very young team, and they will gain the experience, and they did not crumble, which was a very good thing, and we can only hope that they will get it together. So that was the second game, and because of the point system, they were able to move on.
Yes, and I'm very sure one of the things we know people are commenting on, or as we were discussing here, is while we were concerned that our stadium wasn't full or jam packed with supporters, in Cayman it was a completely different story there as well. They really didn't have that many supporters out there, but we do have to mention that it was very rainy during the day as well, as there was a tropical wave passing over the island, so that did maybe have had an impact on why their supporters didn't come out. But nonetheless, we were able to go out there, keep the score even, and advance with the win. So we are supposed to have a second interview ready for you.
No, we did.
Okay.
We had that singular interview. What we're gonna do right now is get ready for the weather, and we do have online. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Mr. Gordon, how are you today?
Doing fine, thank you.
We saw the rains, at least in the city, really come down yesterday evening. How was it countrywide in terms of rains, or was it only Belize City that we saw a significant amount of rains?
Okay, it was generally the whole country yesterday, and the previous days was mostly in the south.
Okay.
Okay. So what's our forecast for today?
Okay, for today we're expecting skies to be cloudy at times, with a few showers mainly in the south.
And the winds?
Winds are out of the northeast at 10 to 20 knots with occasional higher gusts. Sea state moderate to rough, and a small cross caution is in effect.
Okay. Now, this activity is due to the cold front that you had mentioned at the end of last week?
That's right. The cold front came just over us and stalled and rained out. So it has now dissipated in terms of the front. There's what we call a remnant shear line across the area. And that will further weaken throughout the day. So we're expecting a gradual decrease in moisture.
Okay. And our temperatures for today?
Okay, for today we're expecting highs of 84 along the coast, 87 inland, and 74 in the hills. And for tonight, our lows are going to be 74 along coastal areas, 70 inland, and 64 in the mountains.
Okay. Now, will it continue to be rainy over the next couple of days?
Okay, it will be much better than yesterday evening for sure.
Okay.
However, we can still expect an occasional shower or two, what we refer to as isolated showers, over the next few days. So we're not going to see a return to the dry, warm weather that we saw last week. It will be better than the weekend, but a shower will linger around the area now, shower or two.
All right, and that's countrywide.
Well, isolated showers would mean that you could have one here or one there. It doesn't have to be widespread.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gordon.
You're welcome.
Have a great Monday.
Same to you.
Goodbye. There we have it in terms of our weather for today. Expect some rains here and there, but it should be drying out considerably with all things based on what we saw yesterday. Jumping into our second order of housekeeping, we now have our eye-opener for today, Monday, the 30th of March, 2015, and it goes like this. The more we practice settling our minds, the easier it will become over time. After a full day out in the world, stories, words, images, and songs from any number of sources continue to play in our heads hours after we encounter them. Even as we lie in bed in the quiet dark, our minds continue noisily processing all the input from our day. This can leave us feeling unsettled and harassed. It also makes it difficult to take in any new information or inspiration. Like a cluttered house that needs to be cleared if it is to have room for movement and new life, our minds need clearing if they are to be open to new information, ideas, and inspiration. Setting aside time to clear our minds once a day creates a ritual that becomes a second nature over time. Our minds will begin to settle with less effort the more we practice. Ultimately, the practice of clearing our minds allows us to be increasingly more open so that we can perceive the world as the fresh offering it is, free of yesterday's mental clutter. All right, clearing the mind and making sure that you have space to take on what's coming your way and be open. And I like that. And it's not an easy task. It sounds very easy because we tend to take on into each day stuff that remains from the day before. And it comes in the form of, as the eye-opener says here, clutter. But more importantly, it means that we're unable to move forward and live in the moment. And that's what you really want to do. To be able to process things as they are now, not shaped by what yesterday's challenges were, so that we're not able to seize new opportunities and deal with new issues.
Yeah. No, the thing is, I think it's a lot more difficult to settle your mind than people think. Quiet doesn't mean that your mind is settled. Sleeping doesn't mean that your mind is settled. Being alone doesn't mean that your mind is settled. In fact, the practice of quieting one's mind is actually exactly that, a process. Whether you do it through meditation, exercise, people find different ways to be able to access, to be able to achieve this. But I think that we really need to focus sometimes on our own mental health. And when we say mental health, people start to think, oh, mental health issues, and it means you're crazy, and you're talking about real, deep-rooted psychological issues. But we all have to worry about the state of our mental health, and we're not all perfect all the time. You know, there's always something bothering us. There's always something that is nagging in our minds that we just cannot find a way to quiet. And what the eye-opener really talks to is how it becomes easier to do, but you have to try. You cannot take it for granted whatsoever that not dealing with whatever issues are going on in your head will be a healthy output for you.
And in a certain, to a certain extent, what it is asking you to identify is some activity that doesn't really add more to it. I know for me, for a long time, that has been just dancing, you know, going out and enjoying that kind of because you don't really think about anything. But for each person, it's different. What activity really refuels you and makes it easier for you to take on what's coming next? Usually people may try to escape through, you know, maybe consuming alcohol or doing something else. And what it tries to do is to ask you to do something positive to get the mental clutter and clutter out. Figure out a way that you can exist and you can do something that really makes you feel good and clear and get the clarity that you need to move on. And for some people it's yoga, some people it's meditation, you know, and it says for each person it's different. So that's the important thing. What works for you? What makes you feel as if though, you know, you've been reborn again, so to speak?
All right. Well, we got to get moving into our show for today. And we have two segments lined up for you. The first is going to be focusing on the issues in the rice industry. We'll be joined by a representative of the Belize agro-productive sector, as well as the general manager of Circular Products, and Tropical Country Rice. So we'll have a discussion on that for the first segment of the show.
And in our second segment, we're going to be looking at human-jaguar wildlife conflict in Belize and the work that is being done there in tandem between the Forestry Department, the Panthera, and also the Environmental Institute of the University of Belize. So we're going to go ahead and take a first break, and when we come back, it'll be to focus on rice. Be right back after these messages.